Have y'all ever heard of moqueca? It's a Brazilian fish stew or seafood stew. It's fantastic.
Moqueca has coconut milk in it, and that means it's really creamy. Now, most of the time, this stew is made with fish and it's served over rice. But I'm going to make it with shrimp and put it over ramen. It's such a delicious stew. I can't wait to show you how to make it as a meal in a jar. I'm going to give you lots of options for proteins and for spices. Hopefully you'll try it, you'll love it, you'll make it your own and customize it. And please don't be intimidated by the number of ingredients. Once you assemble your jar, it's very easy to make and it's really hard to mess up.
Hey y'all, I'm Kareth. Welcome to the Freeze-Dried Foodie.
There are lots of different variations you can make of this soup. I'm going to show you my version using some fresh frozen shrimp, but I'm going to show you also how to make this as a meal in a jar using either Thrive Life chicken or Thrive Life shrimp. Literally, it's so good you could add like any protein to this. Or if you don't have those things, you could add some canned salmon or even tuna or the little baby shrimp. I've seen crab meat or whatever you want that's in a can, you could add that. So my recipe is going to show you the base recipe, and then you can build on it, customize it, make it your own. I found that coconut milk powder in my local grocery store. If you don't have that, you can use a can of coconut milk. I also found spice called Thai red curry spice online from the Spice House. It's so good. I will give you some options of what to use if you don't have that. I'm going to start with a quart-sized jar. We got 3 servings out of this. My husband and I both ate it for dinner, and we had enough for lunch for one of us the next day. I'm just going to layer in some onion slices. Of course, you could use chopped onions. You would probably decrease the amount a little bit. And then I've got some green chili peppers for a little bit of heat, as well as 2 kinds of sweet peppers. I've got the green bell peppers and the red bell peppers in there. The tomato dices are fantastic in here. I also have some green onions and some cilantro. If you don't have the green onions, don't worry about it. And if you're one of those people like, the 10% that can't eat the cilantro, you can eliminate that. All right, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of tomato powder for this recipe. I accidentally only added 1. So you'll see me later on add the second one, as well as some paprika. And if you don't have that Thai red curry, use blackening seasoning. It's going to taste different, but it will still be good. Or you could just add cayenne pepper. Just some regular salt, pepper, and garlic. And here's that Thrive Life chicken. Okay, I'm putting it in a bag because I actually wanted it in the jar for pictures, but I'm not going to cook with it. I'm going to remove that bag, and I'm going to add some fresh frozen shrimp that was sitting in my freezer and getting freezer burn. So I needed to use that up, and this is a great recipe to use up any shrimp you have in the freezer. Now, I do suggest you put your cream powders in a baggie because that will just help ensure that you don't have any lumps. I like to saute the first ingredients in some oil and then make the cream and add the cream to the pot. So do put that in a separate baggie. And then if you have true lime packets, you can put those in your jar, or you could just add fresh squeezed lime when you make it. There's our oxygen absorber, and then you can just seal that jar. Isn't it beautiful? I just think our food is so pretty, and it looks great in a quart-sized jar. Of course, this is the kind of meal you could also make in a Mylar bag. I don't have any of those right now. I typically make all of my meals in the quart-size mason jars. What you'll want to do is turn on your stove to medium heat and get some oil in there, either olive oil, coconut oil. I'm using avocado oil. Remove the baggie from your jar. If you've got your chicken or your shrimp in there, just go ahead and add it with the rest of the ingredients to the pot. And what we're really wanting to do here is saute those spices, because when you saute spices in hot oil, it really wakes up the flavor. And it'll just give your dish better flavor if you saute for just a couple minutes. Not very long. These are freeze-dried ingredients. They will burn. But if you just give them maybe 2 minutes on medium heat, sauteing at the beginning, you'll be glad you did. While they saute, go ahead and get out a blender cup. And since I'm using my small blender cup, I could only fit 2 cups of water in there. And then I added my powders, blended it up, and that is what you add to the stew. Okay, that's the liquid that becomes the broth for the stew. But I really needed 3 cups of liquid. I just didn't have a container big enough for it. So you'll see me pour this in. So remember, that's 2 cups of water and the cream powders. And then I add 1 more cup of water. So if your blender carafe is bigger, then you can just go ahead and add 3 cups of water to start with. You'll give that a stir, and we're still on medium heat. It's gently going to bring this up to a boil. And there's that extra tablespoon of tomato powder that I had forgotten to add the first time. I was thinking, why is my stew so pale? I couldn't figure out what was wrong. It was the wrong color. And that's what it was. I had accidentally only put 1 tablespoon of tomato powder in that little bowl at the beginning. So anyway, I went ahead and added my 2nd tablespoon, and then I brought that up to a boil over just medium heat. Yeah, that color's a lot better right there. And once you bring this up to a boil, you can cover it. It just really needs to simmer for about 10 minutes or so. I stirred it just a couple of times, and you'll see like what a beautiful orange color that is, right? It's lovely. So after about 10 minutes of cook time, that'll give it enough time to cook the vegetables. Then it should be ready to add the meat. And since I'm adding raw shrimp that had been frozen, I took them out just a few minutes before this video, so they were still pretty frozen. Now's a great time to go ahead and add that shrimp. Or you could add some white fish, just chunk up some fish, or you could add catfish nuggets. That is delicious as well. If you're adding raw seafood, now's the time to add it. If you have used Thrive Life freeze-dried proteins at the beginning, you can just simmer that for about 15 minutes total. 5 minutes later, my previously raw shrimp is completely cooked at this point. See how nice and pink it is? They've curled up, they've turned pink, and I know that they are ready. So now's a great time to add your packets of true lime, or if you don't have that and you do have fresh lime wedges, you could squeeze a couple of lime wedges in at this time. That nice bright citrus flavor really works well in this dish. The coconut milk makes it a little sweet. The lime makes it a little bright and citrusy. The peppers are a little bit spicy, a little bit sweet. The salt in there, the cayenne pepper is the spiciness. So it's a nice balance of flavors. Now, if you're going to add the canned meat, now is when you can add that. Now, it will give it a different texture because that salmon will flake up in that stew. So the texture is going to be different, but it's still going to be delicious. Now, I decided to add some ramen noodles to my stew. That package was good for 1.5 years. It had a really nice long shelf life. I just found that at my local grocery store. And I put it in there and gave it about 1 minute to heat up, and then it was perfect. I just stirred it in. Most of the time, this stew is served over rice. It's not typical to put noodles in it. But hey, it's my stew. I wanted to put noodles in it. I'm telling you, this is just a great base recipe, and the flavors are so wonderful. It's a great balance of flavor. It's really good, like I said, with any kind of protein you want to put in it. It just, it just becomes not very traditional, but still delicious. So you can see the peppers in there. Of course, my big shrimp. I want to say I added probably 20 or to 25 shrimp, about a pound of fresh shrimp in there. If you're adding fresh fish, I would say you would be good with about a pound or so of chunks of fresh fish. So here's another tip for you. My husband really likes to play on the sweetness of the coconut milk in this dish. So you can add a tablespoon or so of brown sugar to this, or a tablespoon or two of cream of coconut, and it really plays up the sweetness in this dish, and it's delicious. So since my shrimp had the tail on, I wanted to cut that off and then go ahead and get like the perfect bite with a little bit of everything in it, and absolutely delicious. I love it so much. If you like spicy, you can add extra cayenne, or I actually put in both blackening seasoning and that Thai red curry spice. Oh, it's so good. But anyway, yeah, I hope y'all give this a try. If you've never heard of it, never seen it, never tried it, you won't know what it's supposed to taste like, but you'll have to trust me. This recipe is a winner. Thank y'all so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I will include my full recipe and my shopping link in the video description box below. I pray you have a blessed day, and until next time, y'all take care and keep thriving.